Natasha says, "Hi, Austin and Robert. I wish I had a podcast like this growing up. Thank you for providing such valuable information to younger and older folks alike." Natasha says, "I'm 53, I'm single, and I have no children. It's my dream to retire at 62 years old. At 62, I would have the flexibility to choose whether I wanted to work or not. Ideally, I'd like to transition from a full-time gig to a part-time gig. Part-time work would require purchasing health insurance through the marketplace. I have $58,000 in a 401k, which I contribute to biweekly, $210,000 in a traditional IRA, $28,000 in a Roth, $25,000 in a savings account earning 4%, $7,000 in a new public investing account." Shout out public. "And I typically keep $3,000 to $5,000 in my checking. My adjusted gross income last year was $56,400. The kicker, however, is I have $71,000 of student loan debt currently in forbearance. About $45,000 of that is at a 6 to 7% interest rate. My non-discretionary expenses are about $1,500 a month, and my discretionary expenses are $900 a month. My question is it even feasible for me to retire at 62? And if I do, should I start taking Social Security at 62 or wait until the full retirement age of 65 or maybe even 67? And how do I even think about tackling the student loan debt while still saving for retirement?" This is a wonderful question by Natasha B. You've got a lot to get excited about, right? You have about $330,000 invested right now at 52, which I think is a really good place to be. You are contributing to your 401k biweekly. I'm sure you're investing towards your Roth IRA. You've got a great savings account. Like, you are trending in the right direction. There's absolute hope for you as it relates to wanting to retire at 62. Whenever someone says, "I want to retire," I think you did a really, really good job of defining what that retirement looks like for you, which is working part-time. I have the flexibility to go from 40 hours a week to maybe 18, 20, 25 hours a week, being able to say, here is what my goal is. It's not to sit on a beach and drink Mai Tais all day. It's I still want to work. I still want to do some stuff. I still have to earn some money, but this is what I want to work toward. And to be honest with you, I would imagine that is very feasible. Between your $330,000 invested right now, that will, as you continue to invest toward these different accounts and, money doubles every 7 years in the stock market, you will, I'm sure, have $650,000, $750,000, $850,000, depending on contributions and returns by the time you're 62. So that's really exciting. You could retire on that, considering you still want to work part-time, probably earning maybe $1,500, $2,000 a month, something like that, as you work part-time, maybe more. And then also you have these expenses that are only running you, let's call it $2,500 a month, and you're going to have Social Security at 62. Like, there's a world where you could retire early. I will definitely cement that into this episode. A couple caveats though. The first thing is, if you want to retire early, it's just a math equation. It is, how much passive income can I earn? And does that offset my living expenses on a monthly basis? And so in your situation, you will be able to earn X amount of passive income from your portfolio, which, 4% rule is a great way to think about that. You will also earn some passive income from the Social Security that you'll start getting at 62, which I think is a great idea because my money works harder for me than the government can make it work for, right? So I want that money at 62. And then you'll also be earning some money part-time. I would imagine there's absolutely a world where all of that can come together and offset $2,500 a month. Now, the kicker here, and I'll let Robert maybe take a stab at this one first, is the student loan debt. $71,000 of student loan debt is really frustrating, especially at the 6 or 7% interest rate. That's tough. That one, if I were you have to somehow pay this off or get rid of this. The last thing I want you to do is to stop investing. So don't stop investing to get rid of it, but maybe you have to slow down your contributions. Maybe you have to take a step back. Maybe there's a world where you can side hustle this away. Maybe you can earn $500 a month or about $7,000 a year, right? A little bit over $550 for the next 10 years. That's $70,000, and use that money to then pay off the student loans. Like, there's a lot of ways you can think about this where it's not going to directly impact your ability to retire early. And that's the way I would try and navigate it.
It's a tough situation, Austin, and I really love the breakdown. So I'm going to piggyback a few things you said. The goal for me with the side hustle would be to get $1,000 a month to go after these student loans, and here's why. Because at 53 years old, trying to retire at 62, that 10-year window is tough. Thinking about only paying off $7,000 of the student loan debt a year, because that is 10 years. So I would try to find a side hustle to get $1,000 a month that goes strictly to the student loan debt, because here's why. You're still going to have interest on top of that, and it's going to grow and grow and grow the longer it drags out. So I would be very careful there. And then also, to be realistic, because of the student loan debt, I think that puts us in a situation for Natalie where it's a little tougher to get to a number where she can retire, because the $2,500 a month in expenses now, let's presume that in 10 years, it's going to be $3,500 a month. So if it's $3,500 a month, if we implement the 4% rule, she needs a minimum of $1 million to be able to draw 4% over the course of the year to be able to get to that $3,500 a month. So that's another cautionary tale we need to understand in the math here. So I think first and foremost, I would do exactly what you said, Austin. Get the side hustle, try to make $1,000 a month, chunk this away as soon as possible so you can continue to invest, but find a way to get rid of the student loan debt so you can get on that track to $1 million sooner than later. Otherwise, she's going to be working until she's 70.
I think having this grow for her over the next 10 years, absolutely there's a world where this is in the 700, 800,000 range, right? And the 4% on the 800,000 is 32,000 a year. Should have known that. You divide that by 12 months a year, that's about 2666. And then you add on, let's call it $1,200 a month for Social Security and another $1,500 a month for part-time job. Now you're making $5,300 a month. And so there's a world where that definitely shakes out, but that's now completely separate from these student loans. So like, you're gonna have to balance that carefully. And I think the answer on that is the side hustle. Maybe it's another part-time job, maybe it's an Uber, maybe it's a delivery, like whatever you're doing here to make another $500 to $1,000 a month and just crank that out. Really just try and maybe there's things you could sell around the house too. Robert and I talk about this all the time. If it's some old furniture, some clothes you don't use, some appliance, the blender you haven't used in 3 years because you thought you liked the smoothies, you hate how they taste, so you don't use it, right? There's a lot of little things there that can get you across that $500,000 a month range from a side hustle perspective. And we're rooting for you here. So you're going to be just fine. Yes, you can retire at 62, but you've got to be very intentional.